San Francisco, California. Please make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I've been having trouble. I can't stop thinking about how we've gone from this like 36-hour news cycle that we were kind of in last year to now this sort of 12-hour, maybe even 6-hour news cycle that we're in now. It's just everything bombards you all the time, and there's no time to take in a story as it's happening. As soon as a story happens, there's another thing to replace it that's the big deal for this 20 minutes, you know? And it's hard to even vet stories now. Like, there'll be a story that seems like a big deal, but the more you think about it, the more you're like, why'd you tell me that? But it'll be big news for a second, and then it'll be like, oh, but then that was just wasting my time, okay? Like, I don't know if you saw, but apparently after all this time, they've nailed it down. They've solved it. Apparently, we got Jack the Ripper. Some would say a little late. Some would definitely say that all the women alive now are worried about the men alive now. But at least we got Jack the Ripper, you know? He eluded us for a while, but he couldn't hide forever. Apparently, some guy claims he nailed it down with some DNA, and after I finished reading it, I was like, yep. Think he got away with it. Because that's the thing, it's like you're inundated with so many different notifications, so many different news stories going down the line. You can't even enjoy the little things that aren't even quite news, but like, remember when a video would be viral for like a whole day? And we'd all share it for like a day. We at least used to have a day. And now there's so much news, you don't get to enjoy anything for like a full day. And not everybody even sees the thing that's dope. Like, this is just me personally, but I've very much been enjoying how terribly these Dove releases have been going at funerals. In case you're not familiar. There are some funerals where everybody can't get like a 21-gun salute or anything like that. So they'll do something special, whether the funeral director suggests it or the family wants it, and they'll have these doves. And it depends on how they want to do it for the funeral, right? Some people say some sweet words and they release one dove at a time. Some people say some sort of message, they give a eulogy either at the cemetery or at another special place to the person that passed, and then they release all the doves at one time. But one thing that's been happening consistently is they will stand people in a line and give them the cue to release the dove. And when you see a dove released, it does make you feel something. It's like a powerful thing. I understand why it's such a symbol for people. But the last few videos I've seen, the doves do just sort of die rather than fly away. There's one video that is truly spectacular. It is art to the point where I worried it was a sketch. There's 3 family members standing in a row, and his first one's cute to throw the dove up, and she even bends her knees a little bit, really give it some oomph, and the dove bounces off her hands and then bounces off the ground. As she snaps back, she's like, ooh, I hope that's not an omen. And then the second person releases their dove, and that dove flies off beautifully. And you're like, okay, not so bad. And then the third person goes to release his dove, and I think he knew his was dead. If anything, I feel like he pitched that one. He was trying to like, if I can toss it high enough, maybe it'll wake. There was another funeral where they were doing dove releases, and they had like 5 people lined up, and they were doing a different like stanza to this poem, and at every break in the stanza they released one of the doves and stuff, and they were getting close to the end. So this I don't know if this woman was number 5 or number 4, but she was whispering at the funeral director the entire time, "He dead." And the funeral director's like, what? Hand me another one, he dead. And the funeral director's like, that's all I brought. So what do you mean that's all you brought? He clearly dead. She's like, funeral director looking at him, trying not to interrupt the beautiful poem that's being read, and he's like, no, he's asleep. He's asleep, he'll wake up, just throw him, he'll wake up. You throw him, he'll wake up. And they released the second picture, and the third picture is right here, and she's like, this is a dead bird in my hand. Don't play with me. Find another bird. And it's like, I swear it's asleep, just throw it. And then the third person throws theirs up, and then they read the poem, and the woman is standing there like, you could tell they get the like last couple lines of the poem, and this woman holding this bird goes, she just tried to like wake bird up, and then they end the poem, everybody looking at her, and the funeral director like, and then sure enough, she go to, and the bird just plopped down. And she was looking at the funeral director daggers like, this your boy? And then the 5th person, their dove fly off, no problem. So everybody got a good dove, except for her. I felt for her. One thing I don't know if everybody thinks about when it comes to those dove releases is where they go. What's next? I don't know anything about this, so I don't know if the dove returns and they just know to go to the funeral director's house or something. I'm assuming they start a new life. Like, I'm assuming the dove gets thrown in the air. It was like, what a beautiful ceremony. I didn't know him, but y'all sent him off right. And then they fly off and try to get things going themselves. I'm just trying to imagine what it would be like to be like a released dove at a Bronx funeral. You're a released dove at a Bronx funeral. And then you land on some roof somewhere, you're like, all right, I guess I gotta get my bearings. And then a pigeon land right behind you, just, what's up, sweet thing? Pigeon just seemed like a very rub the belly bird, It's like, how you doing, huh? Man, you looking fine as hell, no spots or nothing. Hey, you must be new to the city. Let me show you around. I know where the good spots are. But it's the world we're in now, Nothing but news stories, non-stop. Everything's coming at you. We've gone from this 36-hour news cycle to the 12-hour, 6-hour, 4-hour on a really bad day. And you cannot care about everything. You can't, you want to have empathy, and especially when something's big, you want to care about it for as much attention as you feel like it deserves. But then another thing happens, and you're just daisy-chained bad news all the time, or what's supposed to be important news all the time. And so sometimes things fall out of your head because you're like, I can't focus on everything at once, and some things I can't do anything about. you know? And so after a while, you haven't heard about something long enough, you just assume it's been resolved if nobody's talking about it. But nobody's talking about it because there's so many things to talk about. And you also have to measure up how you feel about the world right now with the fact that everyone trying to give you news about the world also wants your money. They want a subscription from you. So they're just inundating you with all this stuff because, like, maybe you'll like news from us, so we'll just keep sending you notifications. Because there's always a lot happening in the world. That's not different. The fact that we have access to it is different. Like, I was thinking about all of this last week. I was just sitting there and thinking to myself, dang, we never did get those astronauts down. What's the plan? That was a while ago. We should probably do something about that. And look, it's not like I can do something about it. You know, I care, but I can't help. It's not like when your loudest, dumbest friend is in a bar fight, you know? And they're over there talking trash, or you're like, he over there, though. I would never be able to get there in time. There's nothing I could possibly do. He's kind of on his own, which is a shame. I wish I could help, but he's all the way over there, and that other guy is very big, and no one was talking to me, so in case you don't know, in case you missed it, which is understandable, there were 2 astronauts that went up, Butch and Sonny, and they went up to the International Space Station, and they were the first to, I believe, man this Boeing Starliner. So they went up in this Boeing Starliner, which some would say was a mistake. Because I don't know how many news stories you consumed last year, but Boeing was not having a fantastic year. And Boeing has different divisions, by the way. It's not all one thing. It's one company, but it's not all one thing. Everybody's not working on everything at the same time. So the plane people and the space people aren't necessarily the same, but by and large, as a company, wasn't looking good. You know? And so they went up to the International Space Station with this Boeing Starliner. And I'm not going to act like I understand or know how to do what astronauts do. I don't get it, and I'm glad that they do. Because astronauts, NASA, all of these experiments that they do in space have yielded incredible things for us down here on Earth that you wouldn't necessarily even connect to space. You know, like memory foam, inner ear thermometer, all the times that they've had to solve a problem up there, it's led to us having something dope down here. So keep going to space. I think that that's great. I don't know what you do up there, but all I know is it makes my life better, and I appreciate it. You know, because everything I know about working in space, I know from the movies. And whenever I see it in the movie, it's just the astronaut outside of the ship with a wrench. Every time I see it, it's Sandra Bullock or Bruce Willis outside the ship, just I don't know what it is about space that makes screws so loose, but like I genuinely assumed that a quarter of being an astronaut was just tightening. I don't know why space is so loose, but it's just you gotta keep it tight all the time. And so they send them up there, and this Boeing Starliner had a bunch of other problems. It had a bunch of other issues on the sort of unmanned tests that they were doing, you know. And so it's very brave of them to even go up there and be doing these experiments and try and make a better world for us, you know. They get up there, and they're supposed to be up there for like 8 days, right? And I don't know if they caught it or it got caught down here, but there were a bunch of problems with the Boeing Starliner. Some of them were helium leaks, because helium is incredibly hard to just capture, just keep it so light, and it's very easy to escape. And then they were worried about the thrusters, And so they were worried about control issues if they were to come down, right? Because Boeing used to be a better company. Boeing used to be a company that put engineers and innovation first. And then they had a bit of a merger, and that merger started to prioritize shareholders, prioritize the money. And so some of that innovation, some of those engineers started to fall to the wayside, and you have what we get now, planes that make you a little nervous and ships that only go one way. Because, make no mistake, Butch and Sonny are fine in the sense that they are the most seasoned astronauts that we have. You know, Sonny has logged potentially more hours than I think anybody should. 322 days in space, and she has logged like 50 hours of spacewalking and everything. She's like a true veteran, and even before that, she was a diver in the Navy, and she piloted combat helicopters. Like, she knows what she's doing. And Butch is the same way. Butch had already been on missions before this, and to be fair, this was going to potentially be one of their last missions. And so for them to go up in space for those 8 days, them getting some extra days, maybe they don't mind. I just am trying to not project how I would feel. Because if it were me, because once again, I'm not an astronaut. I can never be an astronaut. Not good enough at math, throw up too easy. So I don't give off astronaut, right? But if it had been me, if I had gone up into space, it was supposed to be 8 days, and then they were like, ooh, that ship, may not be able to send you back down in that ship. I would be like, oh, okay, cool. So when's the next ship coming up? And so some of this is being explained to me by my friend, so forgive me if I'm like a bit incorrect, but he's saying that not only are they good because of how seasoned they are and how much they genuinely love being in space, but also because they have these like pods and stuff and different things they can send up to give them supplies, give them food and everything, give them things to continue their experiments, more wrenches. I don't know what it is, but like they can send stuff up. And so in my head, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Like if you can send stuff up, like you can send a pod up or whatever, then why don't they just, like why don't they just hop in the pod when all the food, like they after they get all the food out and they eat the food, oh, delicious, and then they get in, they could get in the pod, right? And then take the pod down. He's like, no, it doesn't actually work like that. You know, it's not a manable ship and it's too small and everything. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Why don't they make a bigger pod? You know, enough to like fit people with just some seats, just for fun, just some seats. And then they send that up, and they could even put like an Xbox controller in it, just to have something, you know? And then send them down with that. And he's like, Josh, it doesn't work like that. Like, everything you're saying doesn't make any sense. And I was like, okay, I understand that everything I'm saying doesn't make sense, but the way it does work is also sound like it doesn't make sense. To me. Just to me. All right? I'm not Butch and Sonny, and I'm not going to speak for them. I'm talking about if I was in space for too long, if it was me, which it will never be. It's not going to happen. I would pass out. So this isn't even a problem that we really have to discuss. I just couldn't get it out of my head. Because in my head, it's like to send me something, but not let me come back down in the thing you sent me would be like if I was stranded. Imagine, stranded on Earth. Let's say I'm just stranded on Earth somewhere, and you're worried about me, and you're worried about me having supplies, having food and everything. So you send me an Uber Eats. But then you go, no, don't get in the car. Don't get in the car. That's not how this works. This is not a car. This is a burrito car. See, you don't understand rocket science. This is a burrito car. You just try to get in any kind of car you want. That doesn't make sense. Stay there till we come get you with a car. Oh, it's tough. It really is. Because if you read articles and if you listen to interviews with Butch and Sonny, they're not just in great spirits. They, if they're to tell it, are getting all this extra time in space. Space is their passion. It's their happy place. And so it's somewhere where they can go that is unlike where any of us can go. They see a perspective of the earth that most people will never get in person. That's beautiful. And the expanses that they get to wake up to, that's incredible, you know? And so if this really was going to be one of their last missions and it lasts all this extra time, there is something to be said for like, wow, I really got to spend a surprising amount of time in space. And I hope they feel that way. I really do. I just know if it was me, I would also be putting a good face on. So that way, everybody's working real hard to bring me down and I can whoop some ass. That would be... Because you know how when you're on the phone with like customer service or something, you got to be extra nice even though you get madder and madder and madder. Because if you start cursing, they're like, every time you swear at me, my computer seems to jam up. I don't know how the two are related, but they definitely are. May want to fix your attitude. No, I'm playing as nice as possible until I get down. And best believe when I get down, we're having it out. And I'm not even like a bad man like that. I can't even fight, but I tell you, I'm biting the first person I see. I cannot swing, but best believe I will catch a mouthful of your chin, all right? You leave me up there all this time? What's wrong with you? You must be out of your mind. You got me. Because look, I believe it. I believe that they love being in space, but everybody has a bad day. And I think a bad day in space is an extra bad day. Let's say you wake up, and it's just one of those days. You wake up wrong side of the pod. You know, very upset. And all you want to do is brush your teeth and maybe go read a book or something. You know? But you take your eyes off your toothbrush for 1 second. Now all of a sudden you... Grab the toothpaste. Oh. Or maybe, you know, you got your coworkers up there. Butch and Sonny, I'm sure they get along, but there's other people in the space station that can leave. And so I'm sure, you know, you have your disagreements with your coworkers. We all have it. We all have it. You want to storm off. It's very difficult in space. You want to storm off, but it just doesn't hit the same. Because when you storm off, you want everything to be perfect. You want to be loud as you storm off. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? You want the feet to be slamming. If you slam a door, you want it to really shake after it slams and everything. You don't get any of that in space. I remember one time I was trying to storm off. I felt like I was in the right, and I was done. I was really angry, and I tried to storm off. But I had a small hole in my shoe, and it had rained the day before. And so I was squeaking as I walked off. And that's a hard thing to come back from, because I had the storming off words ready. I was like, this discussion is over. So sure enough, you know, you want to storm off in space. Maybe your coworker's making you mad. And you've had enough of it. You've been up here for, 2 extra months or whatever. You just want to go. So you're like, all right, that's how you feel. That's how you feel? All right, then you know what? You can finish the experiment yourself, because I'm out of here. I'm trying to leave. I can empathize with where the astronauts are coming from, because I worked at a grocery store, right? And give me a second. That is wild. In the time I'm talking, I haven't built up enough trust that there's a point that I'm trying to... Y'all are rude. That's wild. Okay. Anyway. I used to work at a grocery store. And I worked at this grocery store, and one of the reasons I wanted the job and one of the reasons I got the job is because my apartment was only going to be 1 mile from my home store. So I could walk to work, and if I was late, could run, right? And then sure enough, when you get hired by this particular company, when you work for the company, you don't work just for that one store, you work for the district. And so what they can do is they can put you in different stores if they need to patch up. Maybe somebody quit and they need to patch up some shifts or something like that. And so when I first get hired, I'm willing to go wherever. And I'm only at my home store, but I'm taking up people's shifts. If anybody needs to switch with me or needs me to take their shift, I'm taking it if I can. I'm coming in every time they call me in because somebody called out. I'm actually coming in so much that I get a bunch of overtime, then they get mad at me and tell me to stop. But I was like, you called me. So I'm sorry I didn't self-snitch on the way in that this was hour 48 this week. Like, thought you needed help. And then one day, I get put on a different store, a store that's really far from my apartment. And it was because someone had quit abruptly, and so they needed someone there that week. So it was only supposed to be that week. And I get there. I had never been to this store before, but it's in a bad, it is in a remarkably unfortunate, it is in a bad neighborhood, okay? And I don't mean bad neighborhood as in like they have crime sometimes. I'm talking about fundamentally everything about this place felt like the worst version of the Twilight Zone. This is the only place I've ever seen on 3 different occasions a rat walk out of the trap. And Tom and Jerry style, like really starting his day, yawning and everything, stretching his legs and stuff, going about his day. And it was one of the big industrial traps. I don't even know what's in those things, but it's supposed to kill rats. And that's where he was chilling. So these are grizzled veteran rats. And I go in the store first day, I'm ringing people up and everything. And this one person comes to my line. She only had 1 item. I scan her protein bar. She pays me, and as she's paying and she's putting the cash in my hand, she leans in a little bit, which was odd. That's not something that you normally do. And then when I'm handing her change, she says, "Thank you. There's a poop in aisle 5," and then walks out. And I'm sure she didn't do it. I'm sure she didn't do it. But the way she walked out so quickly, I was like, do you have something to do with this? And so It's not really my problem. I'm hoping she was just joking. And so I just keep ringing people up, right? I'm just continuing to ring people up. And then my manager comes over, and my manager is like, hey, Josh, we gonna switch you off a register and put you on the floor for a little bit. Because, you know, there's so many crazy things happening today. And so I'll go ahead and switch with you. And so then I had to count out my till and then go to the floor. Now, I'm still not electing myself to go to aisle 5, right? I went straight back to the back room to grab some chips that were out in front. And so I grabbed the box, and I'm opening the box and, you know, starting to stock the chips. And I hear a scream. And so I'm like, okay, it must be real. I just hear someone go, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so then I just keep stocking because I'm like, I don't want that to be part of my life, right? And then I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's my manager. She's like, hey, there's a whole like situation on aisle 5. If you don't mind checking it out real quick. And in my head, I'm like, I thought you were gonna be ringing people up. You just been trying to set me up this whole time, using some very convenient language. And so I walk over to aisle 5, and I see it, right? And the only thing on aisle 5, on the way to aisle 5, by the way, I passed 2 people who were running away from aisle 5. Like, fully bumped me out of the way. Just like, huh, huh, huh. You know, like when you're in a zombie movie and everybody's running in one direction, but you got the shotgun, so you got to head towards the zombies. And so then I turn the corner, I see it, and the only thing on aisle 5 is it and one guy, and that one guy is looking at it, and then he looks at me and goes, I didn't do it. Didn't think you did, dog. Like, I understand you being just as shocked as I am. And so then I go to the back because I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, this has been laid at my feet, and I don't feel prepared. And so I grab the broom and the dustpan and the kitty litter. And so that I go ahead and like scoop and litter and everything. And that was day 1. That was the first day that I worked at that store. The second day, this older lady walked up to me at the register. I started ringing her up and everything, and she was hitting on me hard. And she was hitting on me in the way that older people can hit on you because they're not saying anything vulgar, but they're being very vulgar at the same time. They're not using the words, but you can tell the intent is there. And so she walked up and she was like, hi, young man. And I was like, that's the wildest I've ever been called young man in my life, because she really hit that hard A with the man. It lasted forever. She's like, how you doing, young man? And I'm sitting there like, the name tag says Josh. Like it. And so I'm ringing her up, and she's like, what you doing later? And I was like, work. I'm just ringing things up as fast as I can. And then she's like, can you bag it for me? I was like, sure. So I'm putting it in the bag. She looks at me and she's like, I like the way you do it. And I'm like, you can see what I'm saying. Like, this is X-rated, what she's doing to me right now. But it's all under the radar. It's all, if you try to call her out for this right now, she'd be like, I'm not doing anything. But like, we can all hear it together right now. Like, I like the way you do it. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. Meanwhile, I'm just ringing up can after can of prunes. It's just nothing but prunes. It's like the store's worth of prunes. In my head, I'm like, there's no way she's gonna be able to carry all this. Put the last one in the bag. And she was like, I'll see you when I come back. And I've never felt more undressed in my life. It was day 2. And day 3, I was ringing somebody up. My manager walks up and they're like, hey, just so you know, watch that guy over there. You know, turn your head, watch that guy. And she pointed to this dude and she was like, look, we forgot to mention this, but he does come in here periodically. And you just need to watch him because he will eventually start arguing with the cantaloupes. And I always try to be respectful of my bosses and stuff, but I did turn to her like, what am I supposed to do about that? Break it up? Like, what do you expect? Why you even tell me this information? We have a security guard, right? And so I'm bringing people up, and like 5 customers later, I hear in the distance,
don't talk to me like that.
And so immediately I turn my head to our security guard. Our security guard, all I see is his back foot walking out of the store. Because we always had security guards on hand because it's a bad neighborhood and everything, but at the same time, they were allowed to take their break whenever they wanted. So then I think he saw the cantaloupe argument breaking out. He was like, that sounds like a great time to have a snack. I'm hearing a snack right now. And so my manager comes over and she's like, we should go say something. And so we walk over and this dude's holding this cantaloupe and, you know, letting the cantaloupe have it. And he's like, you always do this. And so I'm like, hey, sir, how you doing? Hello? Hi. And he's not listening to me at all because this is the point in the argument where he got his receipts ready. He's like, no, because last time you said, he's like making all of his really good points and he doesn't want to be interrupted, right? I was like, hey, could you just keep it down a little bit? You're scaring some of the other customers, right? And this guy was like, oh, I'm sorry. Which I could not have seen coming. This guy goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get loud. It just, you know how it is. I was like, yeah, no, I know. Yeah, cool. I'll go back to ringing people up, and then like several customers later, maybe 10 customers later, I see this dude in my line. And I start ringing up this one customer slow because I was like, maybe someone else will finish in time for him to get in another line. I do not want to have a conversation with this dude. And as I'm ringing them up, this guy's holding the cantaloupe and he goes, don't start again. Don't start again. And right as I look up, he's like, you know what? We're through. And he slammed the cantaloupe down. And I know he was arguing with a cantaloupe. But in that moment, I was like, oh! This dude storms out of the store and everything. And I gotta clean the cantaloupe up. And as I'm cleaning up, I'm like, I'm sorry he hurt you. Like, and that was just 3 days working there. You know, 3 days working there. And I was supposed to be there for a week. And they ended up having me there for 6 months. So when I tell you I can empathize what the astronauts are going through, like some of y'all should be clapping because you didn't believe in me at all. Like, Like some of y'all, as soon as I spoke, you're like, he thinks he's an astronaut. Because even if you love space, even if you love being up there and that's your happy place and everything, which I totally get, and I hope that that's the case. I'm sure if you went up there and they told you it was going to be 8 days, that you probably had plans. It was June of 2024. I'm sure you wanted to do something else before the end of the year besides float. You know, I'm sure they would love to. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. Probably vote in person. That probably would have been great. And now they're up there. And I even saw an article that said that they had initially said it was going to be February of 2025 when they were able to get them down. They told them that in September. And then it got pushed a little bit more, so to like March of 2025. And then I just saw an article that said that there have been some developments and they may actually be able to go up there and get them early. If it were me, I'd be like, don't say early around me. Don't say early around me at all. Because Butch and Sonny are up there and they're going to be returning to a very different Earth. Which might be why they so cool with being left up there. That might be it. They're probably like, nah, I'm good. I'm chilling. Don't worry about me. I'm old enough now that for me and my group of friends, any guy in my group of friends that still can't like get a girlfriend or something, like now it's very clear that it's because of jarring personality flaws. You know what I mean? Because this is the thing, we were all awkward. So when I was 15, I'm an awkward man, but I still figured out parts of life. You know what I mean? So then I'll talk to some of my friends like, man, you just can't figure women out. And I'm like, nah, dog, you 30. Like this is something should be happening. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, I'm scared to talk to girls because women are afraid of you. Like I don't know what you need to be doing. I don't know if you need therapy or sunlight, but like something has got to give if we gonna keep hanging out. You know? And I think I found one really important thing that's probably one of the biggest things when you move out. Like as a guy, when you go out into the world on your own for the first time to make something of yourself, and when you have your first like domain, right? Your first place where you're like, this is my place. Whether it's an apartment, a house, whatever you have. It's so important. As men, we have to, I cannot stress this enough, we have to invest in at least one stick of furniture, all right? Like, a lack of furniture is killing us out here. Everything cannot be on the floor. I can't say it enough, everything cannot be on the floor. Because when you bring a woman back to your place and then she opened the door and then you walk in and she sees a bowl on the floor, she's like, ooh, okay, he gonna kill me. I picked wrong, that was my bad. He didn't even have a murdery face, but a bowl on the floor makes it look like she not gonna be here long and neither are you. This is where you bring people to kill people. It just, I can't stress it enough. I know that we don't care. We're happy. It takes very little for us to be happy. We're happy. But if you plan on having any female companionship, I don't even mean sex. If you just plan on having female friends, then you need to be able to put your things on things. Like, that's not a crazy ask. Just, it's the amount of the amount of friends I have that don't have a chair is so distracting. I understand if you don't have a dining set. I understand if you don't have a bunch of chairs, but you live here. Don't you want to sit? Like, this is just one chair. I don't know. Please don't put your books on the floor.
Please do not put your books on the floor. You could have the thickest books. You could have War and Peace and Paradise Lost next to each other. But if they are on the floor, she's gonna be like, he can't read. He can't read. That's a door stop. That's not, he not cracking that open. That's a paperweight. No? You don't even need books. If you had a bookshelf and put 2 magazines on, she'd be like, what a cultured individual. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, the amount of friends I have that are oblivious about this. Like, I'll have a buddy call me. I'll ask him about his day. I'm like, how'd your day go? He's like, man, it was all right. We were having a good time. Went out for dinner and everything. Then she get back to my place. She want to get all uppity and leave. I was like, you brought her to your place. You brought her to the place that we hang out. You brought her to the place that I've been, where you live, where you sleep. I'm surprised she didn't call the police. Because that's my thing. It's just... Where your things are in relation to the floor is where it looks like you are in life. So I'm just saying, just elevate. Just to table height. Just elevate. There are good men. There are good-looking men that are good men that are a good table away from a good woman. All right? You're so close. It's not even your personality. It's the fact that it's the fact that it looks like you live outside, inside. That is what is doing you in. I get it. I was broke. When I moved to Chicago, I had no money, and I got my first place, and I slept on an air mattress, which was the floor. The air separating you between the floor and where you are, that's not real bed. That's floor. It is floor. I can admit that. That's floor, right? So I was sleeping on the floor with some comfort, okay? So I get it. When you go out into the world on your own for the first time, make something of yourself, you may not have all the money, you may not come from money, you may not have resources. I'm not telling you to get the whole IKEA setup immediately or anything. I'm just saying you should have enough furniture that if you bring a woman back to your place, you have just enough going on to look like you were robbed. That's all I'm saying. Just when you bring her back to your place and you have to make the bookshelf everything, you gotta make it the kitchen cabinet, so then she sees a bunch of forks on the bookshelf and her face starts to screw up, you can turn around and be like, they got me. They got me. I knew this wasn't a good neighborhood, okay? Let's go to your place where it's safe, baby girl. Do you know what I mean? Okay. I have to leave soon. Did y'all see the Alaska flight? The Alaska Airlines, okay, if you didn't see it, basically a piece of window popped off of the flight, mid-flight. It was still flying. It was still in the air, and some window came off, and then just a bunch of plane came off. Like a door's worth of plane. It might have been the door. A door's worth of plane came off, and I have been so shaken because we've been shitting on Spirit for a minute. We really let Spirit have it all, and they have not had one of these happen. The whole plane get there with you when you fly Spirit. Like the plane that left is the plane that arrives, and you. That didn't seem like a lot to ask before, but now you really gotta wonder, right? And it just is so crazy because I know there were people screaming in videos and people crying and stuff like that, but by and large, everybody was so calm. It makes me wonder if if it's an American thing, if we are so bloody, if we are just so traumatized from life in America that a plane can start to come apart mid-flight and you're like, well, I did pay $68, so I guess that's fair, that makes sense. I didn't pay for the whole plane to get here, you know what I mean? I paid for just me, and right now I'm still headed there, so I guess they're fulfilling their contractual obligation to get me somewhere. I don't know. I guess I didn't pay to survive. I just gave them the money to get on. So I should specify next time that I want to get there in one piece as well as the plane. Yeah. Blown away. Because that's the worst airline for it to happen on. Because they don't, when you, imagine if you taking a nap, you mid-nap, right? Because you got a nap on an Alaskan flight. You have to, because they don't have the TVs. They don't have the TV, so the only thing that entertain you is your dreams, all right? So then you go to sleep, and then you wake up, and everybody's screaming, and it is louder, right? It is just louder in here now, and a little cold, because we are in space. That is way too high to be losing some plane, you know what I mean? And it just, everyone was so calm, even in the post-interview after, when they landed, and then they were asking people what it felt like, what was happening. There was one woman, I understand that she was probably nervous, and so she was nervous giggling, but there was one woman who was acting like it was a Six Flags ride. Like, she was just like, yeah, and then a little piece came off, and then, I don't know, we were all like, what do we do? You know, and like, I don't know, I had no idea. Like, it was so crazy. This has never happened before. Like, has it happened to you before? I don't know. I've been on Greyhound buses where people got more upset about a dump in the bathroom than these people got about a piece of plane flying off. As Americans, we gotta start acting like we used to something. Like this is really distressing that they beat us bloody so much in our travel experiences that we're like, yeah, I guess I'll choose aisle from now on. Do you know what I mean? That's what's up. Because then one of the most amazing things, this is a miracle. This is a genuine miracle. I'm very happy that no one on the flight was hurt. But then there were two seats. The two seats next to where the plane decided to stop being a plane. Those two seats were empty because those two people missed their flight. Which is incredible, right? You love a story like that. It does make me wonder about that third person, because that means that third person was sitting there. Like, did they take a nap and just wake up like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, where do you go from here? Okay, so I'm going to Montana this weekend, and both my flights were Alaska. Both of them were Alaska. And I didn't even have enough self-respect to switch airlines. They had to call me. They had to call me. At midnight last night, they had to call me and be like, it's not gonna happen, dog. Like, that's the closest to a breakup I felt in a long time. Like, I didn't have the self-respect to leave, and then they had to be like, you not for us, okay?
Did y'all see the Alabama brawl? Yo. Who knew Wakanda was in Alabama? That was crazy. You know, that was wild. So many people came out of nowhere. That shit was like Black January 6th. That was like... That was crazy. If you didn't see the video, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain it really quick. Basically, there was this one guy. He was an employee of the place, right? And he was like asking these people to move their boat, you know? So it was a black employee, but he was asking these people who happened to be white that had the boat to move their boat, and they wouldn't move the boat. I don't even know if this part is true, but I heard that the riverfront boat that was waiting to dock had been waiting for like 40 minutes because these people refused to move, right? So finally, he just keeps going, like, you gotta move the boat, you gotta move the boat. They get out of their boat, they're cursing at him, and he's not backing down. He's like, you have to move the boat. I work here. You have to move the boat. And then they just keep cursing at him. Finally, they put hands on him, and then they start fighting him. And he did his best. He held his own for quite a while. So it's not like they beat his ass, but they were clearly ganging up on this dude, right? And, you know, a lot of people, as soon as they saw the video, they got upset. I got upset once. I thought it was going to bum me out, just seeing like 5 white dudes ganging up on this like middle-aged black dude and everything. And some people were upset about the racial part immediately. But I'm not going to lie. I was distracted. I wasn't. I didn't hate these people because they were ganging up on them and they were white. I hated them because they had a boat. You know what I mean? This isn't just a race thing. These rich fucks with a boat are trying to beat up a working class person is insane. You know, made me furious. And then they started fighting them, and then like other people came, and you know, a lot of black people already saw what was happening. So then when the riverfront boat docked and other black people who saw what was happening, they all just swarmed. It looked like, like that one episode in Game of Thrones where, you know, they were losing, but then just more just came down the mountain. It was like, I was like, God damn, okay, wow. Send in the troops, apparently. I should back up. When the fight started, the initial fight where the dude was getting ganged up on, he just threw his hat. Just threw it, and that almost felt like a signal. That was, as a black person, I didn't know that was our call to arms. I didn't know this was like, oh, okay, all right, we go now. That was wild to begin with. Then it was crazy because then so many people swarmed in, it turned into a huge brawl. And I don't know if you saw a video, but there was one person that wanted to help when they saw him getting jumped so badly that this nigga swam. Jumped in the water. From the camera angle, we don't know where he came from. I'd like to think he came from Africa. I'd like to think he started swimming 6 weeks ago in preparation. Because look, if you know, the history of black people swimming, especially in the South, you know that we're not known for it. You know what I mean? And so I'm not gonna critique his swimming because I was just happy to see another black dude swim. That's just, every one of us swimming is a W, okay? But I do have to comment, because he wasn't swimming normal. Did you see him swim? He wasn't swimming regular. This was not regular swimming, right? This man wasn't swimming to the fight. This man was punching the water till he got there. I knew he was gonna whoop ass when he got out of the water, because he was... I've never seen someone punch water till they got to their location. That was so crazy. Go back and watch the video. This man... punching with horsepower. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And then he gets out of the water, starts whooping ass, everybody whooping ass and everything. So you know that those white people, when it started fighting, then started more fighting, you know they were relieved when the cops got there, but they must have been conflicted, because half the cops were black. Like, that's a situation where even when the cops arrive, you're like, ooh, whose side are you on? Because I was kind of doing a thing before you got here. You know what I mean? Honestly, that's what's so wild. Because I think also, I've tried to put my mind in... I've tried to put myself in the mind of each person that was in the video in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a terrifying thing. To get jumped is a terrifying thing. Then the person swimming. Then I'm just trying to think about every angle that I could think about it from. I'm not gonna lie. That must have been a huge surprise, because you out here ganging up on this one dude with your buddies, and then before you know it, there's just like 50 black people. That's... Listen, I'm telling you right now, let's say y'all just blinked, and when you opened your eyes, there were 50 black people behind me. I'm not even saying you'd be scared, but you'd be surprised. You'd be like, wow, that was fast. That's all you'd say. You know? Because that's the thing. That's, I think, the strangest part, one of the weirdest parts, like when you start watching the video, let's say you start watching the video, you had no context, nobody told you what was gonna happen, you hadn't seen any of the memes yet. The craziest thing about what happens is that, especially as a black person, I think some people are curious why black people have been memeing the shit out of it and everything. It's because if you know the South and you know the history of 5 white guys ganging up on a black guy and how that usually goes, you know? Especially when they have enough money for a boat. Usually doesn't turn out well, you know what I mean? And so this was a different thing. This is a different outcome than we've ever really seen before, you know? Because I'll be honest with you. Let's say we're in a different time and there's no camera phones and they were able to leave before the cops got there. They would have just beat up that dude and left, you know? And that's my thing where it's like, okay, yeah, whoop their ass, we all laugh, we all celebrate, whatever, but like, fuck up that boat. Like, fuck up the... What are you doing? Like, bust up the bow or something. Like, rip a rudder out, please. I do think that would hurt them more than the ass whooping. They just be standing there and looking like skippers. Not the boat! You know? I used to work at a grocery store in a bad neighborhood. This is a terrible job. I lived in Chicago and I worked at this grocery store. It was horrible, right? And the thing I hate most about working at a grocery store is not good is the security not good. Because then security, anytime something would happen, the security would walk up to me and talk about what we're gonna do about it. Bro, I do this. You do this. And, all right, look, just hear me out. There was a guy who would come into our store, and he didn't come in often. It'd be like once every 2 months, maybe even once every 4 months if you were lucky. But this guy was crazy. And when he came in, he'd come in and he would fuck the lettuce. I know you wondering how, let me explain. It didn't have to just be lettuce, but it was anything he could cut a hole in, he'd go to town, right? I worked there. What are y'all groaning about? I had to see this. And so this dude, man, he would come in, cut a hole, go to town. Security guard come up to me. Security guard came up to me one time and was like, he's back. I was like, that's a you problem. And I don't know. This, like, dude was clearly not all there in the head and everything, but yeah, he would just come in, he'd catch a melon or something like that, and just make juice. Like, this dude was. I know. But a security guard came up to me and was like, he's back, so I'm gonna need your help. I was like, all right, what do you need me to do? And he was like, so we're gonna walk on either side of him, right? We're gonna walk, so he's here, we're gonna walk either side, so we're sort of like, you know, and he was like, I'm gonna need you to run interference. And he said it like it was a real thing. I should know what that means or whatever. Like, and so we get to the point where we're both walking either side of him. And he looks over at me. This dude is distracted. This dude doesn't know what's going on in the world. This dude is fully with the lettuce, right? And locked in. And the security guard go. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, he's acting like he gave me a plan. There's no plan. I don't know what this means. And so he's like, So finally, I just yell out. I'm like, "Hey, dude, fucking the lettuce!" And that dude turned around and faced me. And when he faced me, I was like, "Tackle him!" And then he did. He tackled him. Got that dude to the ground. And you got to give credit where credit is due, okay? You do. To the security guard and to this dude, because this dude was so hard when he got up, the lettuce was still on him. That is crazy. I don't know if I've ever been that hard in my life. This dude got up, hands being held. Like, it's not like he can help out for a quick second. Terrifying. I've been thinking a lot about the way that that couples fight. Do you know what I mean? Like the way, just the tactics we use, and like, look, I want to be clear. I truly believe this. I've even said it on stage before. Everybody is doing everything. Don't like listen to people getting in your ear. Everybody's doing everything. Everybody gaslights. Everybody, you know, all this stuff like that. So I'm not saying that one thing can only be to one person with one identity. I'm just saying, like, I've just watched, and I feel like I just don't like fighting in a relationship, because I date women, and women wait. It's terrifying. Women will let you think you won a whole fight, and then it's coming soon. And you don't even know what it is. It's not been planned yet, but it's gonna happen. My uncle got in an argument with his wife, and I don't even know what it was about, but must have been feeling himself, because when the argument was done, he'd walk around, man of the house. He middle-aged, so he pulling that belt up a little higher. And sure enough, he called me one day. This is apparently weeks after the fight. My man calls me, and he's like, I'm gonna need you to pick me up. I need you to pick me up, come get me, I'm gonna need some help, young blood, like I just said. And I was like, what's wrong? And he's like, okay, so we had a little argument, all right? So we had a quick little argument, and I thought everything was fine, but it's the day to take me to the optometrist, because I broke my glasses, and she talking about she not gonna take me. And I told her, I'm like, baby, I'm blind. Come on now. And she over here talking about you don't deserve to see. Like, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm Josh.